Back here at the back of the truck, we have some tools that we'll show you real quick. We have the traditional fire axes. We have two of them, one on each side. This one is called the flathead axe. As you can see, the back of it's flat here, and you can use that end as a hammer, or you can turn it around and use the front end as an axe, as you would expect. Just below it, we have some spanner wrenches, which have little curved parts and notches that we can use to lock on to our hose couplings here, and we'll use them to actually get them tightened down and separated. They're very important to have. If you don't have it, you're going to have a very difficult time getting hoses together when you get water pressure on them. So back here we have our 5-inch large diameter supply hose. If we look up top, we have 1,200 feet of it. It's quite a lot. This is in the Firetown fold format, which means that all of these heavy metal couplings are set up towards the front of the truck. On the other side of that, we have 600 feet of 3-inch hose, which can be used to either supply the truck, or it can also be used as an attack line if we have a long way to go to the fire and those pre-connects up the front aren't quite long enough. We have 600 feet of that, and that is an accordion load. If you were to look at it from the top, you'd see a zigzag pattern that looks very much similar to an accordion. Down here, we have our chainsaw, our big vent fan that we can use to blow smoke out of a building once the fire is done. We have some standard fire extinguishers, 3 different types. One blows CO2, that will be this one here, with the very large and funny cone. Just above it, we have the standard ABC extinguisher. And on the bottom, we have a water can that holds pressurized water. These are going to be very similar to extinguishers that you might have at your house. The only difference is they're much, much larger. In the back, we have some gasoline for our motors on the chainsaw and the vent fan, and we have a little exhaust pipe for this vent fan here to get the bad fumes that the pump or the fan creates away from the building. Just over to the side, we have our ladder compartment. In here we keep 2 ladders, some extra tools, and a backboard. This one ladder here is a 14-foot roof ladder. It has special little hooks on it that I'll show you real quick. These pop out to the side and they'll hook over the top of a roof to make sure the ladder doesn't slide. So instead of putting this on the ground like a normal ladder, we can do that, or we can put it up on top of a roof and hook it on there, and it'll stand at an angle to make sure that we can work safely on the roof without sliding off ourselves. Here we have a 24-foot extension ladder. This has 2 sections to it, and it's hoisted up with a rope. So as you can picture, it pops up and you will hoist it up hand over hand with the rope. It can go up to 24 feet. We can easily get to the 2nd and sometimes 3rd story of a building with this one. Here we have our backboard that we'll use if someone possibly has a back injury. We use these a lot on people that have fallen and hurting themselves, or on car accidents. Just above it, we have some additional hook tools, somewhat similar to the closet hook that I showed you earlier. But these are full size. This one specifically is called a New York hook. It has some sharp top heavy edges that you can use to poke through the ceiling or other drywall. You can also use the back end here as a prying end. We also have a standard pike pole. This one's also 6 foot. We carry them in different lengths up to 12 feet. This is essentially the same thing, just as a slightly sharper edge. This one has a fiberglass build and no prying capabilities. However, each has its own special purpose. And then lastly in there, we have, a little bit difficult to get to, is an attic ladder that folds out. I will try to get it real quick. I'm going to have to get these tools out. Special little attic ladder here. What it does is it goes into very tight spaces. Obviously this is a very narrow ladder, and we can use that to get into a little hole in the ceiling that leads to the attic in many houses. Bonk. And then lastly on this side we have the very typical looking firefighter's axe. This one's called the pickhead axe. It has this sharp end here that you can use to puncture through anything from a cinder block wall to standard wood doors. You also have your standard chopping end here. And then we have this big metal contraption here. This is called a water thief. What it does is that big yellow 5-inch hose that I showed you on top of the truck can hook up here, go straight through this device and into the truck to supply it, and then you can also take off of this 2.5-inch connection. There are 4 additional ones that you can use to supply multiple different trucks. This is very useful on fires where we only have one hydrant connection and we need to supply water to more than just one vehicle.